Hi, this is Bob Henderson, President of GfG Instrumentation, Inc. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us in this webinar introducing our exciting new products, the G888 and the G999 multi-sensor 1 to 7 channel multi-sensor atmospheric monitors. It's something we've been looking forward to for a long time. The webinar is being hosted by Safeopedia and the Safety Marketing Group, SMG. We are also very grateful to SMG for helping us get the word out. We're very proud of our status as a preferred supplier for SMG. It's moments like this that help to validate all of the benefit that we get from our involvement with SMG, and we hope for SMG partners, they see a lot of that benefit also. What we are doing is going to be talking about our very exciting new products, the G888 and the G999. The Christmas season is upon us, so I have to start out with a reference to Charles Dickens. He did more than write a Christmas carol. If you look at any of the great Charles Dickens novels, he never actually starts in real time with his protagonist, with the main character. He's got to go back a few generations, and in that Dickensian tradition, I just want to put a couple of things into perspective before transitioning into the product information on the new instruments. One of the things that most of you know, but some of you might not, is that GfG really is a company with a worldwide presence. We have our worldwide headquarters and primary engineering group in Dortmund, Germany, where we were started back in 1961. We have manufacturing sites and personnel all around the world. Over 300 people work for GfG. My part of the company, GfG Inc., is headquartered in Ann Arbor, where we do the bulk of the manufacturing of the products that are sold to our distributors in North and South America. Our sales force is a big part of the benefit that we hope that we bring to our distributor partners. We have 20 local salesmen scattered across the country. We have zone managers who work directly for GfG, and we also are supported by 3 remarkable, fabulous groups of sales reps. In the northeastern U.S., we have Sullivan Sales. In the Rocky Mountains, we have Sure Sales. And in Latin America, we have Intercons Inc. as our agents and representatives. So you are never in a place where you don't have local support that is almost immediately available. So we're here at the main headquarters in Ann Arbor, waiting for you to contact and support you. But you can also go directly to your local representative if you wonder or who that is, or if you need the contact information. Drop us a line or go to our internet site at goodforgas.com, and you can download a copy of the territory map. We take our dealings with distributors really, really seriously. We have great products. We have rapid shipment. We do not require massive stocking orders in order for our partners to have the best available pricing. You're going to get that whether you demand it or not. Just ask and you shall receive. We sell exclusively through our family of value-added reseller distributors. We don't sell directly to end users. We provide a lot of benefits for our team members, and we consider our distributor partners part of the GfG team. We have extra discounts on demo instruments. We have loaners for strategic opportunities. We have really excellent field sales support. We provide training. We give you any help that you need in order to maximize the opportunity to sell products and grow sales. We also have a truly exceptional website. We have more information on our website. It's an embarrassment of riches. Anything that we think might be of interest to you, to our end user customers, to our partners, is available on the internet. So that includes everything from data sheets and price lists and manuals, training videos. It even includes software updates and anything else that you need to sell and support the products. One of the things that I am the most enthusiastic about is our ever-increasing library of technical notes and articles exploring gas detection topics in whatever level of depth that you would like. I really think this is a benefit that is there for you to use anytime that you are curious about what makes an instrument tick, how the technology works. We have the support materials to take you to the next level. It's one of the ways that we really differentiate our company. GfG does more than just portable instruments. Yes, we have truly exceptional portable instruments. We also have air purification panels and compressor monitoring systems, and we also have a wide product range of fixed detection components, products, controllers, transmitters, and that's a very important part of the product strategy also. So don't forget, we do a lot of business with air purification panels and compressor monitors. When it comes to fixed detection systems, we think this is a real benefit to our distributor partners. We do not have a firewall in between our fixed and portable products. In fact, it is our mission to break down the firewall between fixed and portable products, unlike many of our competitors, where you have entirely separate channels that manage fixed sales versus portable sales, and distributors may not even have availability of the fixed system products. That's not the case with GfG. You have the whole width of our product offering. If we make it, it's going to be available to you. If you would like to sell it, we will support you. One of the reasons we are deliberately breaking down this firewall between fixed and portable is that we want to integrate the information from the portable instruments in the same data management and visualization environment that we use for fixed. If it's useful and worthwhile for a remote control center or a command center or the front office to know what is going on with your fixed detection system, well, why not integrate that with the information from your portable instruments also? So a lot of our long-term strategy is to move to a wirelessly integrated framework where you can see everything in real time, wherever you need to see it, what you need to see, and have better and instantaneous communication between wherever you are processing the data and wherever the data is coming in from. So that's a big part of our overall strategy. Now, we're going to be talking in a few minutes about our wonderful new products, but that doesn't mean that we are getting rid of our wonderful current products. In fact, we are having a heck of a good year with increasing sales of our most important multigas instruments at the moment, the G450 and the G460. They have unique features, they are not going away, and we are going to continue to see strong, robust sales increases with the existing products. The new products are exactly that. They are new products that broadly widen our available product platforms, capabilities, and models. So we're just giving you more choices. We go all the way from basic compliance to advanced industrial hygiene configurations. We don't want to leave any gaps. Our most basic product is the G450 1-to-4 sensor basic confined space monitor. That also numerically is still by far and away our number one selling product. One of the issues that makes it so attractive is having interchangeable battery packs that allow you to switch over to alkaline batteries or use alkaline batteries 100% of the time, and you never have to worry about charging or doing anything to have the instrument ready to rock and roll. With the 450 and 460, we also have a separately powered attachable pump. That is a unique capability. If you want to have the pump, you attach the pump. If you don't want the pump, you can remove the pump, or you can leave the pump attached and still use the instrument in diffusion mode. It's very flexible, it's unique, and it's a pretty nice option to have. One of the reasons that we have done so well this last year with our G450 and G460 instruments, and one of the reasons we will do even better this coming year, adding in the 888 and the 999, is what's going on with confined space requirements. Everybody is familiar with the original rule for confined space entry that came out in 1993. That's the general industry rule, 1910-146, that sets up the requirements for confined space entry procedures. Unfortunately, back in 93, when the rule was published, there were a couple of huge omissions. The rule did not apply to shipyard. Well, shipyard had its own confined space standards, so it didn't matter too much for shipyard, but it also did not apply to construction. And that was a big problem because at that time, construction did not have a robust confined space rule, and the general industry rule really wasn't optimized for construction. All of that changed in 2015. Now you might think, okay, so the construction confined space rule came out in 2015. This is 2019, so it's all behind us, right? Wrong! There are still huge numbers of customers who are just finding out today that their activities fall within the scope of the construction rule, and it is driving a lot of increased confined space related instrument sales. So don't overlook this rule. It has substantially increased the size of the confined space market in the United States, and by no means are all the people who need instruments equipped with instruments, not as of today. But the size of the market, you can argue it up, argue it down. It depends if you count 4-gas instruments that are used for personal protection as confined space. I've heard estimates that take the market size as high as $500 million. I like the more conservative estimate of a $350 million a year market for confined space instruments in the United States. That's a lot bigger than it was prior to the construction rule being published. It's growing. It's a big market, and there are sales galore waiting to be had. The regulations, in light of the construction rule, are even more strict. The market has been expanded. Every team member needs an instrument. Mandatory pre-entry checks are going to require the use of a pump or an aspirator somehow. You need to be able to sample before you enter the space. Standby safety watch, if you have one, if you are using an entry procedure that includes a standby safety watch, you need to use a pump for the entire entry. That means the operation time per charge is much more important even than it used to be, especially when many industrial shifts in the United States last typically for 12 hours, sometimes even longer. And of course, a main current change is the increasingly important topic of wireless integration of what's going on with your portable instruments, and collecting and dealing with the information that's coming in real time at a remote data collection center or server or base station. Another big change this last year is there is a new edition of NFPA 350. NFPA 350 is the Fire Service Confined Space Entry Code. NFPA 350 tells you what to do, and they tell you how to perform the tasks related to atmospheric monitoring. It is a very detailed guideline. It includes the requirements for zeroing, span calibration, bump test, function testing your instrument. It covers all the bases. And some of the big changes, it's not just the requirement for having a monitor and using the monitor. It defines how you are required to perform a bump test before each day's use. It takes you through the zeroing and calibration procedures and steps. So the days when you could ignore calibration and bump testing are a thing of the past. You really have to include that in your program, and that ultimately brings us back around to our instruments. We need to do everything that we can to make this as painless and easy as possible for our customers to do, and to package our instrument in kits in a way that allow that to happen more easily. So one of the things that we've done this last year for all of our multi-sensor instruments, we packaged them in the form of what we call EcoBump kits. In the case of a G450 EcoBump kit, you have everything that you need in a very compact, economical package, which includes a cylinder of test gas that is good for 250 or more daily bump tests, and the price tag for the compliance end of our product spectrum, the alkaline G450, the EcoBump test kit, complete with the instrument, is less than $1,000. If you go with the rechargeable version, list price is $1,125. From a compliance instrument standpoint, that's an extraordinary value. So that's the background. Now integrating the new products into the sale and available existing products. So the 888 and the 999 are the new products. The 888 is diffusion only. The 999 has an available internal pump. The third product that you see in this slide is the Teamlink server. That is our wireless, self-contained 1 to 10 instrument interface control station. I'll be talking more about that as we go along. But the 888 and the 999, as compact as they are, it's hard to believe that these are 1 to 7 channel instruments. They have the space in both. We've got room for up to 5 sensors when we use a dual channel IR CO2 IR LEL, when we use a dual channel COSH sensor for CO and H2S measurement. It gives us an enormous number of 6 and 7 channel combinations. Really, in terms of the compact size of the product, nobody can match us in terms of the capabilities of the products. I look at our honored competitors and their products out there, and I am really, really happy with the 888 and the 999. So the 888 is diffusion only. If you want a pump, then you must choose the 999. 888 is diffusion only, up to 7 sensors or 7 channels, 5 sensors, 7 channels. A rechargeable battery pack provides about 23 hours of continuous operation for the standard set of 4 sensors. Now, one of the big differences with the 888 and 999 versus the G450 and the G460, the size is smaller because we don't waste size on having interchangeable battery packs. With the 888 and the 999, the only option is the internal rechargeable battery pack. The battery pack technology is based on safe nickel metal hydride rechargeable batteries. So for our products, you don't have to worry about taking them in the passenger cabin with you. If you are flying, you are perfectly legal and permitted and able to put them in with your checked bags because they do not contain potentially dangerous and potentially combustible, flammable lithium-ion batteries. It's a safer battery with excellent performance. More on that as we go along as well. So in this slide, you can see the size compared to the existing products. They're about 1/3 smaller. Again, they're miracles of engineering, compact size, but just mega capability. To put that in human perspective, that is the size of the instrument in the hands of a firefighter. It really is that small. Hard to believe that's a 7-channel instrument. It is smaller than most of the basic 4-gas personal instruments that are out there on the market. The 999, the big differences here is that you have the available option of an internal pump. Most of the time, we will probably be shipping the unit out with an installed internal pump. Why wouldn't we want every instrument to have an internal pump? Well, if you don't need a pump, another benefit of the G999 is that we have twice the power supply that we have in the 888 or in a G450 or a G460. Instead of a 2-cell nickel metal hydride rechargeable battery pack system, we have double that. It is a 4-cell system, and whatever the sensor configuration, if you're not running the pump, you get double the operating time per charge out of the 999 that you would get out of the same configuration in the 888. And the operating times per charge really are amazing. More on that as we get more deeply into the material also. The pump is powerful. It's a diaphragm pump that is easily capable of drawing a sample from 300 feet away from the instrument. It includes a shutter switch that allows you to turn the pump on or turn the pump off when you don't need to actively draw a sample from a remote location. So you can do your pre-entry checks using the pump. When the pre-entry checks are over, turn the pump off. You're not wasting battery power on the pump when it's not needed. If you compare that to several of the excellent products from our honored competitors, like the Altair 5X from MSA, the multi-ray product line, you don't really have the option of turning that pump off when you don't want it. It runs all the time, and that really has an effect on shortening the operating time per charge if, while you're using the instrument, you don't need to run the pump continuously. So that is a tremendous advantage. Even though the 999 is a little bit larger than the 888, it is still small enough to be comfortably used as a personal protective device. Now, with the 888, if you need a 5-gas configuration, you can have it. So you can have a 5-gas personal protection instrument that includes NO2, or it can include NO2 and COSH, or SO2 and COSH, and all the other sensors. You can do that with the 888. You can also do that with the 999. With the 999, we have the additional availability of power-hungry sensors like the PID. So if you want a comfortably worn personal protective instrument, 5-gas with PID, with the 999, you got it. So you can have the pump, you can leave the pump out. It's an option. Just like wireless, you can leave wireless in, add wireless, you can leave it out. It's an available option. But we really have an incredible opportunity with the 999, I believe, to bring in a lot of business in oil production and chemical plant and refinery sites where for confined space, it's not really a 4-gas instrument that's being used anymore. It's going to be a 5-gas instrument, which often includes PID, or a 6-gas instrument that includes PID and CO2, or a 7-gas instrument that includes PID, CO2, and SO2, or yet another electrochemical sensor detected hazard. With the 999, we have the most flexible platform, the most advanced platform on the market when it comes to multi-gas instruments. We've maintained all of the advantages that we have with the G450 and G460. If you know how to use a G450, then you know how to use and operate a 888 and a 999. We have a full-sized top-mounted display that changes color to indicate the severity of the alarm condition. We have a rugged double-shot elastomeric covered polycarbonate frame. It can take a lot of abuse. We have accessories such as the leather holster if you want a little bit of additional protection to keep the instrument clean. We have a very durable alligator clip, high tension steel clip to keep it attached to the wearer's person. So all of the main features that you love about the 450 and 460, there are we are giving you the same advantages with the 888 and the 999. With the 888 and the 999, we have also added a number. We're getting a message that we have a problem with the GoToWebinar server. We're going to try and see if we can reestablish the communication link. I'm going to talk to my able assistant, Paula, for a moment. Paula, are you seeing the presentation?
It's not on that slide, but I am seeing it. And I don't have the arrow message.
Terrific. It sounds like everything is okay again. Sorry if you guys encountered a glitch. Hopefully you did not. The standard features of the 888 and the 999 now include a flashlight LED. That's not an option for which you need to pay extra. It is included with every instrument. Every instrument includes man-down alarm. So if you want a motion sensor-based alarm, if you stop moving and you want the alarm to sound after so many seconds or a minute of time, the interval is programmable. All you need to do is to use the buttons and turn the feature on. It also includes a red-green flash for bump, test, or calibration due status. So all of these are now standard features with both of the new products. Again, the battery technology, it matters. Anybody who reads news stories, if you one of the most prominent news stories of the last few months was the lithium-ion battery fire that killed all of the people on the scuba diving boat on the outside of California. If a charging mishap causes an internal short circuit, which leads to overheating of a lithium-ion battery, you have everything you need. You don't need anything else to have a truly difficult to put out fire. Once a lithium-ion battery catches fire, it's going to go. Good luck to you trying to put it out. That is not the case with nickel metal hydride batteries. They provide excellent charge density. We get 23 hours of continuous operation for a typical 4-gas configuration in the 888. If you're not operating the pump, make that 47 hours in the 999. They survive for a long time. After 2 years, you're not going to get 23 hours, but you'll still get over 16 hours. And it's just a much safer technology. It also performs very, very well in cold weather. Now with the 888, what you're going to receive when the instrument is delivered, automatically it will always include a calibration cap, which also is used if you want to charge the instrument. The included accessories will include an interface cable and a wall power adapter. So you plug the cable into the cap and you charge the 888 just like you charge a cell phone. But you don't need a cradle. If you want a cradle, it is an available option. With the 999 having double the power supply means we're going to stick with the charging cradle. So you don't have the option of using the calibration cap to charge the 999. Calibration cap you use to calibrate. A cradle is what you use to charge the instrument. The same cradle works for both instruments. So a big difference between the 888 and the 999 versus the 450 and the 460 is we don't have single and double cradles. We have only one cradle that works with both instruments. And the same is going to be true for the cradle in our docking stations and test stations. You don't have to worry about using different cradles with a pump-equipped instrument. The same cradle works for all variations of the 888 and the 999. Charging times are pretty good for the 888. With a typical sensor configuration, if the battery is completely depleted, it takes about 6 hours to come back up. With the 999, we have double the power. After an 8-hour shift, it only takes 3 hours to bring it back up to full charge. With the 888, after a full 8-hour shift, it's going to take about 4 hours to bring it up to full charge. So charging, and that's how we handle it. That's going to be the accessories that come along with the instrument. The docking stations, all you have to do if you want to adapt an existing DS400 or DS404 is to make sure you're operating the most current firmware and to change out the cradle. For old docks, you might have to send it to the factory for a small hardware update, but most of the docking stations that we have sold over the last couple of years are ready to go as long as you have the correct cradle and the correct firmware. Of course, any docking station that you buy will be equipped with the most current firmware and will have the correct cradle depending on what it is that you'll be testing. So this is only an issue if you want to modify an existing dock. We also have test stations that are about 1/2 the price of the full-size dock. The big difference between the test station and the docking station is the docking station has an internal pump which pulls the gas from the cylinder. In the case of the test station, the way it works is you are going to open the valve of the cylinder flow gas or push a trigger on the regulator to flow gas during the bump test. And to do a full calibration, you're going to put the instrument in calibration mode and then put it into the test station for adjustment. This is something that I've wanted to have. This is something I've wanted to have for quite some time. But I'm happy that we have this new product and the capabilities are ready and available right now. A big issue is wireless communication. There's more than one way to manage wireless communication. I think our way is the optimal way, quite frankly. But those of you who have sold area arrays or have sold rig-rat systems in the past are familiar with the benefits of true RF wireless That's the way that we're doing it. We are using wireless RF ISM, that is a license-free band that is available for use. We are communicating over a spectrum range that is right at 915 megahertz. That gives us a solid communication distance of up to 1,000 feet. And even with a lot of walls and intervening barriers, we can come close to 1,000 feet in most industrial settings. Now, the other options that you have for wireless communication are either cellular, which requires the presence of everything that you need in order to communicate with your cell phone. So sometimes that works in an industrial setting, sometimes it doesn't work so well in an industrial setting. Or Bluetooth. Bluetooth is terrific for short-range communication, but you're going to have a collection device that is positioned nearby to acquire that information and then to send it onwards to somewhere else. The difference here is 10 meters, which comes from the Altair 4X manual for Bluetooth communication distance, or 300 meters with the GfG portable G888 and G999 instruments when they are equipped with the RF module. Now, if you want wireless RF communication, you are going to have to specify that at the time of purchase. It adds $200 to the list price of the instrument. It cannot be added later. So if you think you might want to have it as an option later, better to buy the instrument with the option rather than to have it come up at a later point, and then we have to tell you, no, we can't do it with the existing instrument. It's a different board. So you really have to make that decision at the time that you purchase the instrument. In order to turn a laptop into a base station, all you need is the dongle that you see. That's the blue device at the top of the picture. That includes the radio interface. You just plug it into a USB port on your laptop, install the software, and you're good to go. Pretty darn simple. That's one method. We also have our complete server, which is the Teamlink server. This is for the control and command of 1 to 10 instruments. There are 2 versions that are available right now. One version is good for 1 to 4 instruments. The other version is good for 1 to 10 instruments. You actually see readings from any instrument. If you want to clone the display from a particular instrument, all you have to do is to go to that instrument. The icons on the front of the instrument show you if there is an alarm on that channel and the communication status of that channel. You don't need a computer. If you don't want to have a base station, you don't have to have a base station or an additional base station. The Teamlink is your base station. We currently have the basic version of the Teamlink available, which is going to acquire information via that RF communication link with the portables and send that information onwards to a base station, also by RF wireless link. But in the future, as soon as we can get it through the certification process, we are going to have a version of the Teamlink server that includes a GSM module in the server. And what does that mean? That is how we get to the internet in the sky. That's how we get to the cloud. So what we are going to do is, if you want to see the information in a very remote location, for instance, the control room in an area where you have people in the field that might be many miles away from home office, but you want to know what's going on, what we will do typically is we will have one or more locally networked instruments with a Teamlink with a GSM module in the nearby truck, from the truck to the cloud, from the cloud to wherever it is that we need to display and manage the information. So we're very excited about this product, and today I'm showing you what is available today. Tomorrow there will be more. There will be additional variations of the products. There will be additional capabilities that we'll be adding. These new product platforms are going to be with us for a number of years to come. But the whole idea is to have an integrated information system where it doesn't matter if it's portable, if it's fixed, it doesn't matter where you are, it does not matter where the devices are. What matters is that you have the information available in real time wherever it is that you need to have that information. And you'll be able to see that information not only on the Teamlink server, you'll also be able to see that information, if that is your desire, on an Android smartphone or a Windows tablet or a Windows PC. And with all due respect to Apple, right now our focus is going to be on Android and Windows-based devices. That's the primary focus. So the sensors matter. And I know that some of you immediately, when you hear my name and hear sensors, are worried that I will take a deep dive and run down the sensor rabbit hole. Only a little bit. But the sensors really do matter, and it's important to point out some of the differences with the major sensors that we are now including in the 888 and the 999, and the sensors that are being used by our competitors. Again, in the 888 and the 999, we have positions for 5 sensors. You'll notice that the center position is taken up by the IR sensor. The IR sensor is long, rectangular, and the shape of the sensor and the length of the sensor really do matter. Our IR LEL sensor has nothing to do with the low power IR LEL sensors that are turning up in some of the compliance devices that are being sold out there, that I don't believe that many customers who use those devices actually understand the limitations of that IR sensor. But more about that in just a couple of slides. When it comes to the 888, there's only one variant of the product. Well, 2 variants. You have the same board, and then it's your choice whether you want that board to be a wirelessly equipped board or a non-wireless board. In all cases, the 888, it's your choice if you want to plug in a standard catalytic LEL sensor, it has that capability. It also has the capability to support your choice of IR sensors, either the single channel LEL, single channel CO2, or dual channel LEL CO2 channel sensor. And it also supports the complete range of available electrochemical sensors. It does not support PID. PID takes a lot of power, so your choice for PID is limited to the 999. But the 999 is a little bit more complicated. With the 999, we have 3 different basic board sets. with or without wireless, that means there are 6 different board variations that we manage from a manufacturing standpoint. The most basic version of the 999 is the G999C. We're not making it a secret. When you look at the front of the instrument will identify which kind of board is installed. With the 999C, you support the catalytic sensor, the IR sensors, all of the electrochemical sensors. It does not support PID. If you want PID, what we are going to do is to sell you a G999P. The P board has a dedicated position for the PID sensor. We are going to use IR LEL to measure combustible gas, and it has the complete range of electrochemical sensors. Now, if you don't want a PID and you don't want a catalytic LEL sensor, the version for you is the G999E, E for electrochemical. In the case of the G999E, we free up the position that we would use for the catalytic LEL sensor. That gives you a position for an additional EC sensor. This is an amazing platform. We have an abundance of 7-channel configurations that include use of IR for the LEL and CO2 measurement, and then all 4 channels are available, all 4 positions are available for oxygen, COSH, and 2 more substance-specific electrochemical sensors. It's really an amazing configuration. So which combination of sensors that you want to use defines which way that we are going to build the instrument. This will seem maybe a little bit of complicated at the moment, but all you need to do is to call up for a little bit of help. One of the attendees has asked, can the G999 run both a PID and a standard catalytic LEL sensor? No, we are going to stick with IR LEL when we have a PID sensor installed in the 999. And the reason would be that the IR LEL sensor is a better choice for the larger hydrocarbon and VOC molecules that typically you are measuring with the PID. The PID picks up what's going on in the ppm range, and the IR LEL sensor is going to pick it up in the percent LEL range. And since we have lots of sensor positions available, if you have an IR LEL sensor installed, almost 100% of the time, we're going to strongly urge our customers to include a substance-specific hydrogen sensor in the instrument, because that is the one major LEL gas that you run into all the time where you can't measure it ever with an IR sensor. You need to measure it with a different type of sensor. So we do that, and we don't depend on the bad characteristics of a more broadly sensitive lower cost CO sensor to pick up the hydrogen. We measure it directly with a substance specific hydrogen sensor, and for CO and H2S measurement, we deliberately use sensors that do not respond to hydrogen. So we really do a better job on this than I think is being done with products that I see being sold by some of our competitors. With the electrochemical sensors and the IR sensors, those are plug-and-play smart sensors. With the catalytic LEL sensor and the PID, those are plug-in sensors where the board needs to have a dedicated position, and that's what drives those issues with the different board variations for the 999. We are very proud of the quality and capabilities of the sensors that we use. Not all sensors are designed to the same requirements. They don't cost the manufacturer the same amount of money. They don't work as well going from one manufacturer to another. There is always a best of breed. We try to stick with the best of breed when we buy a sensor and use a sensor on an OEM basis. And of course, we have a lot of our own proprietary sensors. For instance, the IR sensors, boy, those are our own design. They are unique, completely different than the other sensors that are out there on the market. And believe me, they are best of breed. When it comes to the oxygen sensor, I am so happy to be able to offer a standard 5-year warranty on the oxygen sensors that we use in the 888, the 999, also that we are using in the G460. These are long life lead-free sensors that are manufactured by DDS. It's a great company. We're very, very happy with the performance of DDS sensors and the quality. The whole idea behind the long life sensor is you do not have a sensor that has a lead anode, which is slowly consumed over the life of the sensor. And when the lead is gone, the sensor needs to be replaced. That is not the case with the lead-free sensor. In the case of the lead-free sensor, oxygen diffuses in, it's converted by a reaction into water, and the instrument applies power to the sensor to cook out or pump out the water in the form of oxygen. So oxygen in, oxygen out. The only thing that gets consumed is a little bit of power. So even though we warrant the instrument or the sensor for 5 years, the instrument warranty, just like our other products, is lifetime on the non-consuming components. In the case of the oxygen sensor, the standard warranty is 5 years. We expect it to last even longer. We expect the sensor to last at least 6 years. But the advantages of the lead-free sensor, you don't have a buildup of internal pressure over the life of the sensor as the lead electrode is consumed. It does not have a bunch of electrolyte that tends to leak. You avoid so many of the problems that you run into typically with oxygen sensors. It's a marvelous improvement, and I am happy to say that compared to most of our competitors who are offering a 3-year or a 4-year warranty on the oxygen sensor, we are leading the pack with a 5-year standard warranty on the oxygen sensor. When it comes to catalytic LEL sensors, we love them. They are still the best choice for a lot of the smaller hydrocarbon gases. Anything between methane and pentane, even up to hexane, a standard catalytic sensor is a good choice. It's a particularly good choice if you need to measure acetylene in LEL ranges. So no bad mouthing of the catalytic LEL sensor, but that's not where we stop. What we do also acknowledge about the catalytic LEL sensor is the way that it detects gas is by oxidizing or burning the gas, and it includes internal components that limit the ability of the sensor to detect large hydrocarbon, large VOC molecules in the LEL range. If you wonder why a standard LEL sensor has such a hard time detecting diesel vapor, it's because the size of the molecules are large. A small molecule like methane, it only takes 2 molecules of oxygen to completely oxidize that 1 molecule of methane, and 3 molecules enter, and 3 molecules leave at the end of the oxidation process. The way that oxidation in a sensor works is step by step by step. Each time, if you count the number of carbons in the molecule, to oxidize that molecule, each of those carbons represents one step, and a different set of molecules are involved in the next step, and the next step, and the next step. So it still goes pretty well for a molecule the size of pentane. It takes 8 molecules of oxygen to oxidize that 1 molecule of pentane, but it works. Your relative response is 50% of the relative response that you have for the oxidation of methane. These effects still matter, but the sensor is usable. Where it stops being usable in the LEL range is around the size of a molecule with 9 carbons. And here you can see why. For a 9-carbon molecule of nonane, to oxidize that one single molecule, it takes 14 molecules of oxygen. And for the whole dang process, you have 15 molecules that need to enter the bead and 19 molecules that are produced by the oxidation that need to leave the sensor. And each one of these represents a step, and it takes time. And effectively, this is why you don't see the ability of standard LEL sensors operated in the percent LEL range to detect big molecules like the ones that you see in diesel fuel, diesel vapor, in kerosene vapor, in jet fuel vapor. And for those large hydrocarbon molecules in the LEL range, a better choice can be, depending on which brand of instrument and their IR LEL sensor design, IR LEL can be a really good alternative. IR LEL sensors detect gas as a function of absorbance of the IR light by chemical bonds within the molecule. So guess what? A bigger molecule has more chemical bonds and it absorbs more IR than a little molecule. So actually the larger molecules have a larger signal than the smaller molecules. So it's almost the opposite of the way that it works with a standard catalytic LEL sensor. The IR LEL sensors don't require the presence of oxygen to detect gas. They can't be poisoned. You can use them for high-range measurement without damaging the sensor. And again, they respond very well to vapors that can't be detected with the catalytic LEL sensor. Now, when it comes to limitations, you need to consult the owner's manual because the limitations of one manufacturer are not necessarily the same limitations for another manufacturer. So the limitations are, first of all, the molecule has to include chemical bonds that absorb at the wavelengths that you're using to measure the gas. And also, without sophisticated programming to correct the readings are only accurate for the linearized gas curve used to calibrate the sensor. What that means more in just a moment. And of course, not all combustible gases can be detected. Hydrogen can never be detected by IR absorbance. It does not absorb IR. You need to use another sensor to detect hydrogen. Typically, what we're going to use is a highly reliable substance-specific electrochemical sensor to detect the hydrogen. We're not going to infer the presence of hydrogen by using a bad CO sensor that happens to have a relative response to hydrogen as well as to carbon monoxide. Our approach is a little bit more accurate than that, and we're going to depend on that electrochemical sensor. Another gas of interest is acetylene. If acetylene, LEL range measurement of acetylene is what you need, then you should stick with a catalytic LEL sensor. In our products, you are welcome to include both a catalytic LEL sensor and an IR LEL sensor in the same instrument. We don't rule that out. That's one approach. If you talk to some other manufacturers, they will point out that, well, that same CO sensor that responds to hydrogen will respond to acetylene. Well, that's true. But if you expose that CO sensor to acetylene, yeah, it'll show an immediate high response. It can take 24 or 36 hours for that response to clear back to zero. So you don't want to plan on doing that on a regular basis. If you have LEL range acetylene, talk to us and we'll set the instrument up in a way that actually measures it. NDIR sensors with short optical paths, well, the benefit there is they use virtually no power. However, they are unable to measure gases that have lower relative responses to IR sensors, and they can be wildly inaccurate even for the gases they are designed to measure. One of the things that is worth pointing out again is the uniqueness of the GfG design. One of the secrets behind the success with the IR LEL sensor is that we have an extremely long optical path. That gives us an opportunity for gases with lower relative responses to the IR to have a chance to absorb and to be detected. In the low power sensors, you have chip-mounted devices with an optical path that is limited to a fraction of a millimeter. That really doesn't give you much time or opportunity for lower relative response absorbing gases to be measured. So it doesn't happen. And length matters. There's just no question about it. Now here, I'm simply looking at an excellent product from one of our honored competitors. I've gone to the owner's manual of the Clip 4, and I've just I've pasted in a copy of the page. So what does the page say in case you can't read it? I will read it for you. The notes include this one. The BW Clip 4 LEL sensor is optimized to see methane, period. While the unit can detect and respond to the other combustible gases listed in the above table, the accuracy of the readings may be inconsistent. If the primary need is to detect a specific combustible gas other than methane, please contact Honeywell Analytics to discuss an alternative product. And in the above table, they tell you those pitiful few gases that they are willing to admit the sensor is able to measure. So for methane, hey, the sensor, the response curve is linearized for methane. It ain't linearized for the other gases. So when you expose the sensor to 20% LEL methane, hey, you get a pretty good reading, 20% LEL. But that same sensor response to 20% LEL propane, your reading can be anywhere within an unpredictable window of 15% to 45%. Butane, 15 to 35. Pentane, 15 to 45% LEL. Hexane, anywhere between 8% and 28%. As you can see, if it ain't pure methane, this is probably not the optimal sensor for you to use. Probably, if you love Honeywell, you should choose a different product with a standard catalytic sensor, and you should stay away from the Clip 4. But if you have nothing but methane, God bless. It's a great product and a great sensor. Now, Where do you find pure methane? Not that often. Is natural gas pure methane? No. Natural gas has a variable concentration of ethane and propane. That means that with regards to natural gas, you're immediately in the area that you're warned against with the fine print in the manual. Your readings are likely to be inaccurate. If you care about taking action at 10% LEL, well, good luck to you. And the big difference with our sensors is that they're not cheap. They're truly excellent sensors. Not only is the sensor itself excellent, but the software that we use to interpret the signal of the sensor is really unique as well. If you're going from one curve, gas response curve, to another, the shape of the curve is actually different. So what you have to do is to program the sensor with what we call a lookup table. So it stores curves for all of the gases in the library. If you know that you're going to be dealing with something other than methane, then no worries. You pick the propane curve. The propane curve and the methane curve are shaped entirely different. If you want to calibrate the instrument for propane, you set it up on the propane curve. You pick it from the library, and then your readings are accurate. These capabilities allow you to seamlessly move from one gas to another in the instrument's onboard library. So unlike the instrument in the last slide, in the case of the G888 and the G999, you really have the ability to measure more than just plain old garden pure methane. Our PID sensor is a whole lot nicer than the sensors that are out there and more accurate than the sensors that I see in most of our competitors' products. By the way, that is the correct comparison of sizes between the excellent Altair 5X and the G999. The Altair 5X, by the way, you don't have the option of turning that pump off when you don't want the pump. In the case of the 999, turn it off, use it in diffusion, even when it's equipped with a PID, not a problem. Why do we use a PID? PID is the way we measure VOCs. You don't want to measure, even if the sensor is good for measuring the VOC vapor in the LEL range. Even if you were to set the alarm at 5% LEL, you're going to exceed the toxic exposure limit before the alarm goes off. So we want to take action at a much lower concentration. That's why we use the PID. In the case of the number one competitor that we're up against out there, which would be Ray Systems and the multi-ray family of multi-sensor instruments, the patent for the PID, the primary difference between the Ray Systems PID and all other PIDs is it requires a pump to pull the sample through the glow zone. That means there has to be a gap between the window and the electrodes where you measure the gas. Well, the problem is that gap is full of atmosphere, and that atmosphere always includes some water vapor molecules. In an area where the humidity is high, under temperature conditions where the humidity is high, what happens is the ultraviolet light hits, the photons of ultraviolet light hit those molecules of water. The water molecules absorb the photons of ultraviolet light, but the molecules are not ionized. What that means is they quench the signal. And this is serious. On a humid day, the readings from this kind of sensor can be 30, 40 or more % lower than the true concentration. The alternative is the approach that we take with our PID. It's a 3-electrode design. The electrode stack sits directly on the surface of the window, so there's no gap. So you have almost no opportunity for the signal to be quenched by humidity. There are a number of other design advantages also, but the reduction in humidity quenching and responses to sudden spikes in humidity, that's a huge advantage. If you're using a PID that's inaccurate, you're not, it's using a dull axe. It's just dangerous. So better performance, better accuracy, better PID sensor. 888 and 999, again, the primary advantages: more compact. The charging is more secure with the 888 and the 999. In the G450 and G460, we only used one set of contacts for charging. So if one set of contacts was damaged or dirty, then charging was affected. In the case of the 888 and the 999, we use both sets of contacts, and the contacts are a lot easier to clean. Just use a toothbrush to brush them off, and you should be good to go. Again, with the 999, a primary advantage is having that internal pump and having that shutter switch to turn the pump on and off. When you don't need it, leave it turned off. Data logger, big difference. In the case of the 888 and in the case of the G450 and G460, we had 1,800 intervals in onboard memory, or we could add a memory card to extend the memory in the G460. In the 888 and the 999, we are able to store 30,000 intervals in onboard memory. So that's a lot more information. We also have, of course, the communication options. It's not only the optional RF communication, but if you connect the instrument up through the charger cradle to a computer and you want to download the data, the speed at which the data is downloaded is 3 times faster than the speed that we have with the 450 and the 460. That's a good thing considering how much more data we have stored. We also include an IRDA interface, so we are able to communicate optically with the instruments, and in the near future we expect to be adding a Bluetooth communication option also. For the wireless RF communication, again, you need to specify it at the time of purchase. Adding wireless to your computer is really easy. All you need to do is to plug in the dongle. If you don't want a computer, stick with the Teamlink server. We have actually 2 different wireless modules. One is for the United States, the other is for Europe and a couple of the countries in Latin America. The 915 megahertz version module is the one that we're going to sell for use in the USA and Canada. That is completely license-free, gives you 1,000 feet line of sight communication, which far exceeds the communication distance that you can get with Bluetooth-based wireless communication systems. The operation time per charge depends on the configuration of the instrument, but it is pretty much amazing. So, a 888 with an electrochemical sensor and a catalytic LEL sensor and an IR sensor, without the wireless module, you're going to get 13 hours of continuous operation. If you have an electrochemical sensor and catalytic LEL sensor plus wireless, you get about 14 hours per charge. For a non-wireless standard 4-gas instrument with electrochemical oxygen, toxic, and standard catalytic LEL sensors, you get about 23 hours. If you have EC sensors only, you can get up to 65 hours per charge. With the 999, everything is double. So if you have a G999E with only electrochemical sensors, you're going to get up to 130 hours of continuous operation. If you leave the pump turned on continuously in a standard 4-gas instrument that includes an IRLEL and an EC sensor, you get about 17 hours. As you can see, nobody can touch some of these operation time per charge. Look at the version of the 999 with the electrochemical sensors, whether you've got one or whether you've got four, the draw of the electrochemical sensors is pretty low. It doesn't affect the operation time. So electrochemical sensors and PID and IRLEL and a wireless module, you're still getting 22 hours per charge. That's incredible. So these products really do have spectacular operating times. For the Teamlink, we've already talked about that a little bit, but again, two basic versions right now, 4-gas and 10-gas. Right now, the only method of communication is via that RF, ISM RF link. In the future, we're going to have another version that additionally includes a GSM module, so we can take the information and send it to the cloud and to a really remote place for processing if that's our desire. And again, our vision is to break down the walls between fixed and portable instruments and show everything that you need to see wherever you need to see it in real time. And I don't see other of our competitors moving in this direction. I think we're out there leading the pack right now. The visualization software, I think many of you have seen this in our trade show booth, so it's really slick. It's beautiful. We give you motion sensitivity and man down information. We give you channel by channel information for each of the instruments. If you have 20 instruments, we can show all 20 at the same time on the same screen. Make sure you stick with a high resolution screen, but it's all good. For the price of the products, I think that we compare extremely well. Now, this slide is showing you manufacturers' suggested retail prices. I don't want to say publicly in a presentation where anybody and everybody can see it what our partner discounts are and what our partner pricing actually is. But our discount schedule, as everyone in the audience on the distribution side knows, we have a generous discount schedule, and we compare really, really well with regards, especially with regards to the product pricing for BW, Ray, and MSA. However, even though we compare very well on a pricing standpoint, I hate talking about pricing. I would much rather talk about the competitive advantages and excellent features and capabilities that we offer. And pricing is the arrow that comes out of my quiver personally at the end, not at the beginning of the presentation. Now, lest you become confused with all of these options and capabilities and which product to pick, one of the most useful things that we will have posted on the internet site for your benefit is a chart that shows you in detail the capabilities that are offered by each of our available multi-sensor products. So if you're wondering about whether you can have alkaline batteries in one or another of the products, then this chart makes it really easy to see that you can have them in the 450, the 460. You can't have them in the 888 and the 999. We've tried to be scrupulously honest in anything that we put into these charts. So we'll be updating this information as we add products, but you can trust it. We also, now the comparison chart for our own products is in the public part of the internet site, goodforgas.com. We have a private password protected part of the site that is not available to the general public. It is available to our partners. All you need to have is your password. If you don't have a password, if you need the password, talk to your local GfG salesperson or talk to our service department and they will give you the password. In the password protected section, we have product comparisons, product by product comparisons with the products of our honored competitors. I think the products of our honored competitors are pretty darn good. I just think that ours are a little better. And these comparison charts help you understand why I would make that claim. And I try to be scrupulously honest and accurate in these comparisons. It's a moving target because new versions come out, and we have to scramble to make sure that our resources are up to date. But for instance, if you're wondering, well, what exactly is the size difference between the G888 and the Altair 4XR? Well, here you go. As you can see from the dimensions, they're almost exactly the same. With regards to the weight, you'll notice there's about a 25 gram difference. What is a gram? Useful rule of thumb is that a nickel weighs 5 grams. So if you want to think in terms of nickels, the difference in weight between a 888 and an Altair 4XR is less than 6 nickels. So the difference is pretty trivial, but the capabilities are extraordinarily better, I believe, with the 888 and the 999. Instead of 3 sensor positions and a maximum of 4 channels, which is what you have with the 4XR, we have 5 sensor positions, up to 7 channels, and a much wider range of sensors available. And I take you step by step through all of the specification details, their products, our products. I get these from the manuals. I certainly don't make them up. Again, I try to be really accurate. One of the tidbits, as we've talked about wireless communication from MSA, from the company, their Bluetooth wireless distance limit is 10 meters. Our line of sight limit is 300 meters. That's the difference between our ISM RF and the Bluetooth approach. So a hugely different communication strategy, a hugely different set of benefits, and I hope that you will take advantage. By the way, we will be posting the actual presentation in the form of a PDF. If you would like a link to where we post the presentation, just drop us an email and we will send you the link. We will also send you the link to the full version in the form of a YouTube video link. And then we are happy, of course, to help you discover or to send you links for any of the other materials that we've discussed in this presentation. I have one other question, or a couple of other questions. I've got about 5 minutes here. One of the questions going down the list, I think I already mentioned, can the G999 run a PID and a catalytic LEL sensor at the same time? No, we see some real benefits sticking with IR LEL, and if needed, an electrochemical hydrogen sensor. So that's the approach that we're taking with the 999. Another question, does the DD Scientific long life lead-free O2 sensor will require power at all times? Yes, it requires the same amount of power, which is fairly trivial, as one of the biased electrochemical sensors, like an NO sensor takes about the same amount of biasing current that the lead-free O2 sensor does. So if you take the instrument and you take it out of the charger and you leave it for a month, you'll see the remaining power drop to maybe 90% of where you started. If you leave it out of the charger for 6 months, it will have dropped a little bit further. So yes, it requires a biasing current, but it doesn't matter that much. Another question was, are there temperature issues with the DDS sensor? No, it is particularly excellent for use in extreme low temperature conditions. You're going to love this sensor in northern Alberta or in the Bakken area of the Dakotas and Montana. It's really, really good with for cold temperature use, and it pairs very well with our nickel metal hydride batteries. So the instrument is good to go for minus 30 Celsius temperatures. So call that minus 22 Fahrenheit. Use it all day long. Where you start to see things drop out is as you get colder than that. At minus 40 degrees, everything works, but for a limited period of time. Is the rechargeable battery pack field replaceable? Yes, it is. It's going to be different than you're used to with the 450 and the 460. With the 888 and the 999, 4 screws hold the back of the instrument in place in the instrument. And what we do is we actually replace the whole back cover. The rechargeable battery is encapsulated in the back of the instrument. So you don't replace the battery pack by itself. You replace the back of the instrument, but it's affordable. You don't pay a penalty for taking that approach, and it makes it really easy. Does the inspection date, is it still there? Inspection date due? This is a question that relates to user assignable date-driven warnings. Right now in the 450 and the 460, as well as in the 888 and the 999, you have 3 due-by dates you can assign. You can assign a bump test due-by, a calibration due-by, and an inspection due-by date. One of the things that I have been asked a bunch of times by customers, I don't want to see the inspection due date. Can't I just permanently turn it off? In the 450 and the 460, the answer was no. In the 888 and the 999, hooray, the answer is yes. Another question, can you alternate or change out various sensors? Yes, you can, but you're going to want to have that done by someone who has been well trained by GfG. You want it done more by a technician than by an unskilled person without a lot of experience with the instrument. And the reason is If you take the back off the instrument, you look inside. As I say, it's a miracle of engineering. We pack a lot of stuff in there. And as you disassemble it and remove and replace sensors, you just want to do it with a little bit of TLC. So the answer is yes, but if that's your desire, we're going to insist on you having a slightly higher level of training. If I have more than 10 reading the next question, if you have more than 10 instruments in your fleet, how would they be managed using the Teamlink monitor? Right now, you need a Teamlink for if you have only one instrument and you want to manage that one instrument, you need a Teamlink. If you have 10 instruments you want to manage, you need one Teamlink. If you have 20 instruments, you are going to need 2 Teamlinks, one for 10 and one for the other 10. Now you can send all of that information back to a common base station where you can see all 20 instruments. Frankly, we have not yet addressed how to handle the visual display of more than 20 instruments. We are limited by what we can get out of a single high-resolution monitor. I'm not sure, honestly, at this moment, what the ultimate solution will be. We have no problem sending information back from more than 2 Teamlink servers to the same base station, but we just haven't quite figured out how to show all that information on a single screen. But that's high on the list of stuff that we're working on. The warranties, the sensor warranties are absolutely magnificent. For the IR sensor, it is an expected life of 5 years and full warranty for 3 years. For the O2 sensor, it's expected life of 6 years, warranted for 3 years. For the typical electrochemical sensors like CO and H2S, we have a standard 3-year warranty. We have extended warranty options, just like we have with the 450 and the 460. The fact is, almost all CO sensors last for at least 5 years. 100% of H2S sensors last for 3 years. As you get out to the 4-year point, you start to see some dropout. But standard warranty is going to be 3 years on CO, H2S, COSH, some of the other common sensors. For some of the exotic sensors, it's either a 2-year or a 1-year warranty. For PID, it is 2 years on the lamp, lifetime on the detector. What else did I miss? IR sensors, if I didn't say it, is 3 years standard and expected life 5 years. And that brings me, I think, to about 2 minutes over the time limit. I want to again thank SMG for supporting us with this seminar. Thank you also to Jamie at Safopedia. Very, very appreciated. And thank you, our partners and customers. Please send me an email. Let me know how we can help. Let me know how we can help you sell. That is the thing I like doing better than anything else almost in life. Thanks very much, guys. Bye-bye.